Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. We are so happy to have you here. We are super, super excited to introduce our new partner, PriceLabs site. So please enter all of your questions and comments, anything you want to let us know into the chat, and we will be happy to answer those questions. We have people from ThinkReservations and people from PriceLabs in the chat today. Also, if you look to the top of the chat box, you'll see a little tab called Extras. That's where you'll find out the handouts that we will be showing and talking about today. Let me go ahead and introduce our co-presenters today. We have with us from PriceLabs, Owens, who is a solutions consultant, and he is the man that everybody wants to talk to, let me tell you. So you are very lucky to have him with you here today. And we also have the man who needs no introduction, but is going to get one, Scot Fuller-Beatty, our Director of Product Advocacy here at ThinkReservations. And my name's Annie Buck. I'm the Education Manager for ThinkReservations. And I will also be in the chat with the people from Think and PriceLabs. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started. So Scot and Dav, you are ready to go.
Dav, it's great to be here with you today. For those at home, I've had the pleasure of actually meeting Dav multiple times now in person at conferences. And although he has told me I'm not allowed to tell his coworkers that he's an amazing karaoke singer, he didn't say anything that I couldn't tell our customer base that he's also a amazing karaoke singer.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, you knew it was. And then Annie and Scott and Ariel over at ThinkReservations, we're also the karaoke singers in the bunch as well. There might be others, but these are the ones that I know about. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're here to talk about the PriceLabs integration. And I'm just really excited that we were able to make this connection and to learn more about PriceLabs and really evaluate it to see if this was going to be a good fit for our customers. And I'm very confident in the tools that it offers to really help our customers in their pricing and being competitive and making sure that they're making the most that they can with their properties. We already have a good number of customers that have already signed up. And today, Dav is going to be the big presenter who's going to basically walk you through this. What is, what is this product going to do for you? How does it work? And answer those questions. So please, if you have questions, make sure to put it into the chat. Like Annie said, we have people from PriceLab and ThinkReservations there to answer your questions. And I'll come back at the end and do some wrap-up stuff and go from there. So Dav, take it away.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Scott. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everyone. I promise not to slideshow everyone into the end of the world. But there's going to be some good information on here, and feel free to ask questions. We'll get to, if we don't get to them in the chat, hopefully we'll be able to answer them all at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if you can let me know when that is visible.
See here, we seem to be having there we go. Okay, we can see you now, Dav.
All right, awesome. So just quick introduction of me. I have about 20 years in the hospitality industry. Majority of that was in hotels. I've worked front desk, I've worked sales and catering, revenue management. I've cleaned rooms. But for the better part of the last 10 years, I've worked in hotel technology, for the most part of that being on the revenue management side. So I am a solutions consultant here at PriceLabs. They were very gracious in my detailing here with strategists, tech specialists, but many of you, if you choose to go forward and do a trial with us, you will speak to me. I will be your onboarding specialist as well as your account manager moving forward. So going into what we will be talking about today. So first we'll talk about the case for dynamic pricing, if some of you may not know exactly what dynamic pricing is, it's a very vague word sometimes that's used out there. We'll also introduce PriceLabs a little bit. You may have done some research already, but I'll give you a quick overview of PriceLabs, who we are and where we're going. And then we'll do a product walkthrough. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the integration, which is a phenomenal integration, if I do say so myself. So first thing we'll talk about, how does PriceLabs get you there in a sense of what do we have to offer, right? So dynamic pricing, what we do is we take a few different things into consideration. We look at several data points, demand, occupancy, seasonality, your competitor rates, right? And from that, we want to fluctuate your prices. What we like to say is you're going to be priced at the right price on every night. Now, with that in our system, it comes with some automations, and then it's a algorithm rule-based software. So AI is used a lot out here, AI this, AI that. We have AI components, but we want to, one, give you the algorithm, set up your rule set, and let the prices fluctuate based off of that. So as the owner, hotelier, you are still in control. Then another product that we have for you is called our Hotel Rate Shopper. Now, the Hotel Rate Shopper is going to allow you to load up your comp set as they are listed on booking.com. Typically, we look into about a 10-mile radius and we pick the 10 nearest to you, but you're able to customize that so that you can see the comp set that you want to see. So for instance, a lot of bed and breakfast may only want to look at other bed and breakfast properties in their area. So you will have that capability, but you'll also have the capability to compare to other hotels in listings that are on booking.com in your area. And last but not least, we'll have portfolio analytics. So what that is, it's going to be a pretty much an overview of how you're performing, right? We're going to be looking at key performance indicators, pacing reports, because one thing with the integration is we're going to bring in your last 2 years of data. So you're going to be able to see how well you're performing now versus before, looking at revenue, looking at your bookings. All of that information will be there for you. We have templates, but we also have customizable reports too as well. Okay. Now, what makes PriceLabs different? Right, so many of you may have tried a dynamic pricing tool in the past before, maybe not. But what makes PriceLabs different is no black box, right? We're not hiding how we're choosing your rates. You're going to be able to see in a breakdown where the rates are coming from, why they're changing, what is driving that change, and it's going to be broken down in percentages for you. And all of that will never supersede the rule set that you put in place. So if you have a minimum price that you never want to go below, or if you have a maximum price that you never want to go above, you will be able to still have that in place, and we will fluctuate within that window that you have given us. But there's also several other customizations and rule sets that you can put in place. You may have a shoulder season or peak season that you want to have different rates. We're going to be able to have all of that for you within the system so that you can make the needed adjustments that you need. Outside of that, I mentioned already, you will have full control. You'll be able to set your rules, minimum, maximum prices, and we're just going to automate within that. Now, one thing that I really like about PriceLabs is that not only do we have hotel data, we also will have short-term rental data or vacation rental data too as well. So oftentimes what we see, and I use this analogy quite often, is that someone may have a 100-room hotel and only list 5 rooms on booking.com, so partial inventory. In the vacation rental market, they are not listing partial inventory. So you can see the real-time occupancy of what the market is doing. You can see what the booking window is in your particular market. You can also see the ADR in your market too as well. And then one other thing that I enjoy about seeing that data is you can also see the length of stay that people are typically staying. Now, vacation rental market is a lot different from hotels, boutiques, and inns, but it's always good to have insight into that data so that you can use that in your strategy. Okay. Now, this is something I work for PriceLabs. I'm going to say is the greatest thing ever. But one of the things that actually brought me to this company is the customer reviews of the product. I always like to look at a company's customer reviews, but I also look at their employee reviews. And when I see that a company is highly rated both from employees and customers, that's a recipe for success. And you'll see that when using the system, we also give free 30-day trials, and our subscriptions are month to month because we truly believe in our product. And we know that once you get into the system, start using it, you will too love the product. Okay. Now, quick intro of PriceLabs. So PriceLabs started roughly in about 2014. Three friends came together, and it was simply a tool to price one of our co-founders' rooms. Another one of our co-founders, there's three of them. He was doing dynamic pricing for a well-known airline, and they were like, "Hey, there has to be a better way in a system for me to be able to price my spare bedroom as I'm listing it on Airbnb." Fast forward, about 3 years ago, we had so many requests for hotel product that we went into hotels, inns, bed and breakfast, things of the like. And now we are pricing over 650,000 accommodations daily. On the hotel and inside, over 35,000 rooms are priced daily. And we're looking at billions of data points on a consistent basis. Things that would be more cumbersome and time consuming if you had to go look at competitor rates, events that are coming into the market, what season are you in. All of these things will be automated by the system, and we will start to help you produce prices from that. Outside of that, we are a remote first company. We have representatives all over the globe. Our headquarters is based in Chicago, but being a global company allows us to provide around the clock customer service. So 24/7 email support, same thing for the chat support as well. So customer support is there because of how spread out we are globally with our team members. Now, I'm going to switch gears here for a little minute and show you some of the system. And let me just switch over here. Now, what we have here in the view that we're looking at is called our pricing dashboard. This is a demo account, so some information may not be the greatest in here, but this is our pricing dashboard. This will be the first view that you see when you upload your ThinkReservations rooms. When you create your initial trial account, it'll give you a prompt and it'll look something like this where you can add and import your listings, okay? Once you do that, you'll simply type in ThinkReservations and then you'll get a view similar to this. Now, the view that I typically always like to show when we're doing demonstrations is going to be our multi-calendar, and I'll show you why. So in the multi-calendar view, you will be able to see all of your rooms and all of the pricing for those rooms here. Now, what you see on this one, you'll see a few different things, okay? You'll see some color coordination, you see some stars on the screen, right? You see some moons. Almost looks like we're looking at a anime or like Sailor Moon or something here, but you're going to see that the color coordination, if you look down at the bottom, it'll show you like a rubric of what's happening. So the lighter green days are the low demand all the way over to the darker blue days, which are high demand days. These are gonna be your first key indicators of why the prices are higher on a particular day or lower. Other things you'll see here too as well is your minimum night stay, which will be where you see the crescent moon and the number. And then the stars represent either a holiday or an event that's happening. So our system is really good at picking up events that are happening in your area. I went through a practice just yesterday and a customer was, "Hey, we don't know why the prices are so high on this date." We picked up on an event. We didn't know necessarily what that event was, but after we went and Googled the date, found out that it was a concert. So even if we don't know the actual event that's happening in the area, we will pick up on certain demand and start to price you accordingly. And then one beautiful thing about PriceLabs is that you can provide feedback on different events, especially if they are recurring events that may happen annually. And we will add those events into our events calendar as well. Okay. Now, other things to notice on this page, I mentioned no black box. So if you're hovering over the prices on any particular day, as I mentioned, you can see why the price is where it is. So with everything, we always start with the base price. That's going to be your your standard setup. One of the first things that we need to do when you get into PriceLabs is set up your base price, minimum prices if you have them, minimum stays if you want PriceLabs to control the minimum stay settings, because the same way that we do dynamic pricing, we also do dynamic minimum stays. But this box here is going to show you where we started. So this base price starts at $99, right, or British pounds for this one. And you'll see that the price changed based on the season that they're in, right? The demand factor from the hotels that are in the area, also from the short-term rentals or vacation rentals. And then we're also going to have the yield management, or what we call it is multi-room occupancy-based adjustments, right? And all of these different factors or customizations that you put into the system will then produce what we call the final price. And that's the price that will be pushed out. In ThinkReservations, that integration works as it is pushed to the best available rate that you have in ThinkReservations, but we do have the capacity to control other rate plans too as well and fluctuate those in PriceLabs. It all just depends on how you would like your setup to be once you set up the integration. Okay. Now, one thing I want to go into is also jumping into what it looks like when you're only looking at one room. So I'll go into the pricing calendar. And so typically when we're doing a base level setup, we want to do that by room type. If you have 10 room types, then we can do it by each room type. But oftentimes you may have multi-units where you have 3 room types and then 5 rooms in each of those room types. So what we'll do is we'll come in here and you can see where we set up the base price, the minimum price is here. With the integration, we do import a price from ThinkReservations, and what we look at is your current prices, where they are now, and your occupancy, and that's part of the AI function that we have, and it'll produce a base price for you. You can choose to override that and customize your base price, or go with the base price that's set. I typically like to recommend going with that base price, and then you can review your pricing month over month, week over week, see if you like how that looks, and then if not, we can make changes on the base price to adjust for that. Okay. Now, something else I want to show you too is the hotel rate shopper. So within the hotel rate shopper, this is where you will set, change, and rearrange your comp set. Again, we look at the 10 nearest properties to you, but the range goes up to about 10 miles. If you need it to be bigger, let's say if you're in a more rural area, we can go up to about 35 kilometers, which I think is roughly, I don't know, I would say maybe 20 to 30 miles roughly, doing my American math there. So, but you see here where you can have all of your comp set here. You'll see the averages of your comp set as compared to your pricing, and you can also match the room types. So if you have a premium king and you want to match premium king to your comp set, you can do that. Same way if you have a deluxe double, you can match that to a respective room from your comp set too as well. Okay, this gets updated once every 24 hours, and we are pulling data from booking.com on this one. Another thing you'll be able to see is the short-term rental data. So with this one, we can pull from Airbnb or VRBO, and you'll be able to pull the short-term rental data, and you can see how your prices are compared to the short-term rental market. You'll also see where their prices are, and it'll be 3 tiers, low percentile, mid, and then a higher percentile. So you'll be able to see that and how you're comparing to those prices. You'll also be able to see the occupancy of the short-term rental market. If this was a live hotel, you would also see the occupancy of the hotel in the background here too as well. But this one is one of my particular favorites. This one is the market history. So we do it in either last 1 year or 2 year summary, but you can see where the occupancy in this particular market has been, the booking window, how far out people are booking, the length of stay, right? How long are they staying? And then also the average daily rate. In the same way that you're able to select the comp set in the hotel rate shopper, you can come here, and if you want to view certain short-term rentals, it'll link directly to their Airbnb page. You can add them to your comp set in the event that there are some that you want to view. Now, a little inside information just from being at conferences, this is something that will affect you all a lot more in the coming days, because Airbnb right now is doing a really big push into the hotel space. Okay, so they're looking for unique boutique hotels to add on to Airbnb. So you will start to see more hotels. You may even get some outreach from Airbnb about listing on there, because they're doing a really big push on that. So this will be even more effective in the coming days for you too as well. Okay, now I want to show you one more thing before we jump back into the presentation, is when we look here at the portfolio analytics. And again, this is a demo account, so it won't have as many things that are here, but we want to look at some information. And demo account has a lot going on here. So let's just apply all. And we'll see if my internet works fast enough to get this pulled up. But typically what you'll see here, and again, on a live account, you will see past information. You will see pacing reports. You will see revenue on the books. And I think this is loading up too many locations in the demo, so I'm just going to pass that for now. As we go through onboarding and you set up, I'll show you that within your settings. But it's going to show a lot of information based off of just performance. And data is just there to use it as you see fit. Some people, want to see only revenue on the books. Some people want to see where they're getting most of their bookings from, right? Whether it be booking.com or direct bookings. You will be able to go in and view all of this within PriceLabs too as well, so that you can make some pricing decisions based on that. Okay. Now, going back into the presentation, how do we actually generate the prices that you see on the screen? So the first thing that we start with, first and foremost, is the base price. Then we're going to start to look at your comp set. What are the market trends that are going on? And then ultimately, what is your internal occupancy or yield management that we will practice? The next thing we'll look at is we'll provide some intelligence. So demand spikes. Why is demand picking up? Are we catching that from short-term rental market, the hotel data that's there? We're also going to look at events and holidays, the booking window in your market, right? What day of the week is it? Is it a slow Tuesday or is it a busy Friday evening, right? We're also going to look at seasonality. So when we say seasonality, we're just looking at your seasons. So what people will often see is that even before going in and making adjustments, PriceLabs will start to pick up on busy seasons, slow seasons, and we will make pricing adjustments based on that. Now, if you do come into PriceLabs and see, hey, this is my peak season, prices need to be way higher than what they are right now. We do also provide custom seasonal profiles that you can create that repeat every year, so that if you say your season should be much higher priced, you can put those parameters in for that set of time, and the system will start to pick up on that as well. Now, control, I've mentioned this several times now, but we will have the pricing data that you can pull into play when we're looking at demand. If you only want to look at hotels, you can do that. If you want to look at a balance of hotels and vacation rental market, you can do that too as well. We have different levers that you can pull on to make that possible. Now, you can also override and set custom prices on a date-specific basis. We have options for that too as well. If I showed you that in the system here, if we wanted to change a particular date, we can come in and add that specific price that we want. If we want to change the minimum night stay here, if we wanted to just add a percentage or minimum or maximum price, we could do that too as well for a date-specific time. You can also do it for multiple days or specific days of the week too as well within a time period. Okay. Now, the integration overview. So how this works, you have ThinkReservations currently now today. ThinkReservations has done their research and brought PriceLabs on. So now you decide, hey, I want to do a PriceLabs 30-day free trial and see how it works. So you bring in PriceLabs. Now what happens is once you create that integration, very simple, you can actually walk through creating your account on your own. I still recommend always coming for an onboarding, but we do have the ability for you in prompts to where you can actually go through and set up your account without ever talking to anyone. Now, what we will do, once you actually sync the prices and turn on your subscription, And what that looks like when the prices are synced is this green toggle will be on, and that means it's ready to send prices over into ThinkReservations. Once we send those prices, then ThinkReservations, of course, interacts with your channel manager, and they will send the prices out to your channel manager. That then sends it out to Booking.com, Hotels.com, your direct booking channel, right? All of the channels that you're listed on today. Okay. Now we also will connect to Booking.com too as well. Just depends on how your setup and configuration is, and that gives you a way to have different ways that you can push prices depending on your setup. Everyone's property is different, and however your practices are, we want to meet you where you're at. Okay. Now, reservations then come back through ThinkReservations and back into PriceLabs, right? So that we can account for your booking data, when bookings are actually there, how long they're staying, so that we know where that is and we price accordingly, especially for your yield management that will be within PriceLabs. Okay. Now, key features that are available with the integration. We can price up to 720 days out in the future. Okay. Now you can minimize that if you like. We can make that shorter for you. I've even had someone ask to only price 60 days in the future, right? These are things that we are able to work with you on depending on how you like to operate your business. Maybe you want to keep future dates at a flat price for group bookings. We would like to accommodate that for you. You also can provide check-in and check-out rules. So if you have restriction on days that you can check in or check out, you can input that into PriceLabs too as well. The portfolio analytics is going to be there for your reservation data. And then we're also going to have minimum stay rules as well. So when setting up minimum stay rules, when you're in onboarding, be sure to be very vocal and clear on your minimum stay settings. This is one thing that I've uncovered, is because ThinkReservations will have where you can do through nights and on arrival nights. Okay. And I'm sure you all are very familiar with that term, but we want to make sure that we set this up correctly when you're within PriceLabs, so that all of the things that you're used to and want to see at least stay the same. Okay. Now, what does it look like when you start? Day one, you connect, you configure. This is something you can do on your own. You can at least start. You don't have to sync your prices right away, but you can go in, click some buttons, try some things out before you actually sync your prices. I recommend being sure on how your setup is before you sync. And then typically around week one, sometimes sooner, right? During onboarding, I oftentimes help people connect and configure. But if you're already connected within that first week, we'll be getting on an onboarding call, whether with me or one of my colleagues, because the calendar does fill up pretty quickly. But we have backup support to ensure that you're able to get personalized onboarding. And then within the next couple of weeks, typically what I like to do is I like to schedule a series of 3 calls. One longer call for the first onboarding. The second call is a little bit shorter, about 30 minutes, where we'll go over anything that we may have missed in the first call. And that'll be about week 2 or 3. And then right before the end of that first month or the end of your trial, I typically would do a shorter 15-minute call just to make sure if you have any questions, if there's anything else that we may need to change, or just to say hey and smile at you and jump off the call in 5 minutes if necessary. But very hands-on, but can also be a very hands-off approach. It really just depends on your learning style, because we will have a broad database of articles that you can view. We also will have over 350 plus training videos on YouTube. We host training webinars routinely. And then you'll also have the chat support and email support directly within your system too as well. Okay. Now, do we have any questions that we can answer that are in the chat? I'm not sure if the questions have been answered already, or if we have any in the chat that are there.
Yes, Arshdeep is really like getting in there and answering some pretty complicated questions. So thank you so much. But we have a couple that haven't been answered yet.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
The first one is from Jim. He's asking, does it take into account booking velocity and room bookings within the past 2 years of the property?
So we do look at your past history, but we don't base everything solely on that, right? So one thing that I can show you here, if we're looking into the calendar on any particular day, and you may not see it in here. I'm going to see if we have some, but typically there'll be a hyperlink here, and it'll show you info of where your bookings were in the ADR or average daily rate that you took in last year and 2 years ago if you were booked on that date. So we are looking at the history in your performance, but we're looking at both past data, present, and future to determine your prices. I hope that answers your question.
All right, and then this one may be somewhat similar, but Diane is asking, with history looking back 2 years, how does PriceLabs adjust to an outlier event like a hurricane? Oof. Would it rely more on market conditions versus past history since occupancy and ADR were impacted in 2025 because of Helene?
That is an excellent question. Um, some things are no system is 100% perfect. Things like weather and things like that are not always taken into account. We will look at the history of that, um, and that may affect the numbers. And those are things that you can see when monitoring the prices. If we need to make adjustments, you may say, hey, a hurricane happened in 2025. The prices around this certain time may not reflect. But then that also comes into play that we're looking at not just the past data, but also present and future. And that one hit home for me. That question really hit home because I'm based in Houston, Texas, and everyone knows we definitely see many hurricanes here.
Gosh, that's rough. Um,
Yeah, and I'm hoping it's not a
I'm so
busy season because
sorry.
we
That's
haven't seen
horrible.
one recently.
That's horrible. Natural natural disasters are just gosh. Um, so let's see. Okay, Earthsheep is answering questions. He's typing. I think his fingers are on fire. Okay. Oh, here's a question. Carrie is saying, I contacted sales at PriceLabs and received an email to set up an appointment. I responded on which dates work for me, but never heard back.
Who was that?
Should
Who
she
said
reach
that?
back out?
She definitely should.
All right.
Um,
Yeah,
what's
Carrie
Carrie? What's Carrie's last name?
Gordon.
Carrie, I'm going to share with you my direct scheduling link because I take ownership of that. That was me. I see that about 3 days ago. I was not able to get back to you. My calendar has been very busy, but I am going to send that over to you now. That is my fault. So let me send you a calendar link, and you can go ahead and book a conversation with me. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. Let's see here. Diane's asking, are all rates based from best available rate? What happens to rates that are not derived? And what about promotions?
So rates that are not derived from the best available rate, unless you turn those on to be manipulated in PriceLabs, if you have them not derived in ThinkReservations, more than likely they won't update. But you can activate them to have pricing in PriceLabs so that we push directly to that rate plan. And then what was the second part of that question?
Second part is, what about promotions?
Promotion. So we don't, if you have a promotion, let's say on like booking.com or one of your other OTAs, that will add on top of the rate that's pushed out. So once we send the rate, if you have anything that changes the rate outside of that, so one thing to note, if you have yield management turned on in ThinkReservations, once you start pricing with PriceLabs, you may want to turn that off because that will then fluctuate the price after we've already sent you a price that's there.
All right. And then Gia is asking, we have a hotel comp set in PriceLabs and prices are being created based on this hotel comp set rather than an STA comp set. We are a boutique B&B and more aligned with the local hotels, but there are still significant differences between our room amenities and gourmet breakfast that are not offered by the hotels in the comp set. How can we customize for this?
So one thing, this is a question that comes up very often. We do not, let's say, we're not looking at your comp set prices and saying, hey, we want to be priced $10 higher than this location or $20 lower than this other location, right? We're looking at the median of the entire comp set. So, or looking at all of the prices and based off the fluctuations, not their exact pricing. Because one thing we see is that comp set may not always be priced correctly. So we don't want to be price matching per se, but we're going to use their fluctuations to determine the demand that's in the market and base it off of that.
All right. And then Mary is asking, sorry if you mentioned this already, but can you set different tiers or rules for different types of rooms?
Absolutely. So each room can have its own individual rule set. Um, Typically, for some properties, they may want to have every room type have the exact same rule set. But for properties that are more unique, one room type may allow one night stays. You may have another room type that only wants to do 3 night minimum stays, and never do any discounts on that room type, right? You can set rules up for individual room types.
All right. And I'm going to go ahead and pop in the 30-day free trial link as well to the chat for if anybody would like to just directly grab that. Let's see if we have any. Oh, here's the question. I'm surprised this hasn't come up before. We've got a question about what is the pricing? Okay, here come the questions about the pricing.
Actually,
All right.
I can
Yes.
tell you better than I can tell you on that one, because we are very transparent in that regard. So if anybody wants to pop in let me know the number of rooms that you have and the number of room types. We can use a real live look at how the pricing is done. So, or I can just give you a generic one. So if anybody has already thrown out what their room count and the number of room types they have. But for this, I'll do, let's say, a 30 room property. And let's say this property has 4 room types. Okay. And anyone can come and access this on our website as well. You can see the pricing, put your number of rooms that you have in units and the number of room types or unit types that you have, and then it'll show you your pricing. All right. So for a 30 room property with 4 room types, it will be about $6.50 per month per room, or $194.96 per month. And that is month-to-month subscription. We do offer contracts, but it's very easy to turn on and turn off your subscription in case you need to. It's the same way if you wanted to pause a subscription, you just toggle it off, and once you toggle it back on, then it will automatically pick up your pricing. Now, one thing too on the pricing, there is a 30-day free trial. You don't have to upload any payment information right away. We want you to just get into the system and try it out. But if you're going to move forward after the 30 days, then you will want to upload your payment information.
All right. That's great. And Nurse Deep went ahead and added the link for that to the chat. And then Diane has an update on her question. She said, not on OTAs. Promotions are saved 20% off second night. It's all off BAR now. Would we set that up as a separate rate in PriceLabs? Think lets us choose the second or even last night. These promos work well on Google Ads because people like to see save 20%.
Yeah, if you have them set up in ThinkReservations, you can leave it as such and just derive them from your best available rate. So there's multiple ways we can do it. It really just depends on how you want to have it configured. I've seen some individuals who want to keep the rate in ThinkReservations and have it set there. I've seen others who want to add it into their rate plans within PriceLabs. It really just depends on how you would like to have your setup.
All right, let me just make sure I'm not missing any. I think between me and Erstib, we're kind of getting them all here.
Yep, and while we're waiting on that too, I just want to let Carrie know I have sent you that email. I can't wait to meet you, and then be sure to give me an earful for taking so long to respond.
And Carrie said, thank you. Thank you. And Jim is asking, can you display what Ashley is asking for pricing? And let's see if I can find Ashley's. Okay, Ashley is 9 rooms, 4 room types.
So it would be $10 per room per month, or $89.96 per month.
All right, guys. So go ahead and check out that hotels.pricelabs.co/plans, and you can use that calculator to get all of that information. All right, we are going to pop to our next screen, which is going to be Scot. So there's Scot. Smile for the camera, Scot. All right. And if you want to show your screen, hopefully it'll work. It seems to be like we're having a little bit of
Oh, I don't have a screen to share actually, Annie.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no. So you could just put Dav and I on, and we're happy to answer some questions. You can hear me okay though, right?
Yep.
Okay, I was trying to jump in a little earlier, but I don't think anybody could hear me. I think I was on mute. So yeah, Dav, I just wanted to just a little bit of clarification for that pricing tool. Just because we kind of use a little different terminology in ThinkReservations. Using that last example, there were 9 rooms, but 4 room types. Just to clarify, that means that you have 4 rooms that when you say you have room types, those are rooms that are always priced the same in your system. So like if I have 2 rooms at my property that I always price the same, that's considered a room group, correct?
Yes. So it can be, a couple of different ways, right? You may have, let's say, some room types that are already grouped together, or you may have the president's room, the captain's room, the sailor's room, and all 3 of those are priced the same. Then you can map those within PriceLabs to where they are just one room type, and they will be treated as such in pricing.
Great. So in essence, like if I do have rooms that are always priced the same, by putting in that room grouping, that's going to actually help potentially lower my price with PriceLabs, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to be clear with our customers that that's how that works. But if you have a property where you have 10 rooms and all those 10 rooms are priced differently, you just put in the 10 rooms. Yep. Okay. I wanted to just hit a couple things really quick, just important notes that we've learned sort of in this process. First, if you're a ThinkReservations customer and you're considering adding PriceLabs, please, in your settings, go over to the marketplace and you can click on the PriceLabs to add it to your account. There is no charge from ThinkReservations to add PriceLabs, but that's actually how we help us keep track of who is connecting or interested in PriceLabs. So do that in the marketplace. Also, an important thing about yield management that I wanted to explain. Many of you are already using yield management rules. Because PriceLabs is sort of like yield management on steroids, you will want to take your yield management rules and turn them off on the rate types that are being fed into PriceLabs. Because what will happen is that, say you have, keep the math simple, PriceLabs is suggesting that you have a $200 room rate, but you have a yield management rule in ThinkReservations that says because of all these factors, go ahead and raise the rate to 10%. It's going to go ahead and raise that to 220 in your system. So you'll want to use the tools that are in PriceLabs, and the yield management. In essence, it will replace yield management in ThinkReservations. Please reach out to support if you have any questions about that, because maybe not all your rate types are going to be connected with PriceLabs. And then also, Deb, if you could talk about one of the things I was really happy about with our integration was, your standard update on pricing is once every 24 hours or once every 12 hours. But for ThinkReservations, we have that down to 4 hours, right?
No, so that we can have it down to 4 hours, but we can also do it even more frequently than that. But it comes at a fee of $1 per room per month.
Okay.
But we have a few different versions of more frequent syncs. You can have it to where it's every 4 hours, right? You can even have it down to where it is every hour after a change is made, and that's what we call real-time sync. So there are
Okay.
a few different options that are there.
Okay, so definitely if you're interested in PriceLabs, when you sign up, when you have your meetings, talk to them about that, especially if you're in like a really fast moving market. Um,
I'll say something else on that too, because, just to be clear, those additional syncs are for the automations, right? With the additional charge. Now you can go in and manually sync anytime you make a change, as many times as you like,
yeah,
with just pushing a button, and you can do that any time of the day, as many times as you need to.
great. And then some people have asked the question about like, customer support and stuff like that. You've talked a little bit about, your flow that you do, especially when you're a new customer and stuff like that. Um, what is it like if I'm having a problem? Like, can I sit down and actually have a meeting with someone whenever?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I like to do is after that third round of onboarding call, I also share a link for an account review. So typically I like to check in once per quarter at minimum, but then I share that link in case you do need additional help. So we have the 24/7 email support, 24/5 live chat support, which I think the weekend days are coming into play. It maybe already be launched now. But we also have 24/7 AI chat support, which is very intuitive for simple tasks. And then you will also have your account manager email, which will more than likely be me, as well as a link that you can book a call when needed.
Great, awesome. And Annie, do we have any other questions that have come up in the chat at all?
Thank you so much for asking. Yes, we do. Let me go ahead and pull some of this up here. So Teresa is saying, so as long as we don't sync, then we just deal with ThinkReservations, correct?
I think I'm a little confused on that. So if you would want to be in PriceLabs and then not sync the prices. So because the way that PriceLabs work, when you turn, you can be in there before you turn on the sync and still see pricing. It'll still price you out for the up to 720 days. And then when the integration actually goes live and actually starts like your subscription is when you actually turn that sync on. I hope that answers your question.
If that's not what you were asking, Teresa, just give us a little more information there. All right, so Billy's asking, can you use the demand calendar without auto pricing?
So I think I kind of answered that on the last one. So you will be able, once you upload your rooms, you can put all your information in. You will still see the pricing that's there, but it only starts to work with the integration when you turn on the sync. So you will still be able to see your pricing, portfolio analytics, all of the information as if you are synced, but it just won't be pushing the prices forward.
Okay, great. And Urshdeep is following up on that as well. So we have Robert is saying, I'd like to schedule a call with you. How would they go ahead and do that?
So if you want to schedule like a one-on-one demo, I don't know if I can send you Annie, if I can send you my link and then you drop it here in the chat for them.
Yes.
I can do that right away. So this link that I will be sharing is it's a deep dive or a 45-minute call to where we can do a longer one-on-one session, and we can also work through setting up your account if you would like to do that on that call too as well, at least the initial start. But I am sending that link over to you now, Annie, and you can paste that in the chat for the users.
Great.
And Dev, while we wait for the next question, you talked about how one of the features that I really liked about PriceLabs when I was demoing with you is the information about the short-term rentals in the area as well. Since a lot of properties, especially the market I live in, Portland, Maine, like we have a lot of short-term rentals. And it is nice to be able to have that comparison as well. But do you have the ability to adjust how much the short-term pricing data that's coming in versus more your traditional hotel or other inns, B&Bs, boutique hotels? Is there a way to basically program how much the short-term rentals has an effect on the pricing versus, say, the hotel prices that you might be more in line with?
Amazing question, Scott. I would think you have been working with us for a couple of months now. Um, yeah, you actually can. Yeah, you know that's actually a great that's actually a great question because we can do that. So one thing I was mentioning earlier is that you can pull on different levers. It's under our demand factor sensitivity, and you can, let's say you want to be 100% on hotel data, or 75% on short-term rental data on your demand factor, or you want to be right in the middle, a balance, 50-50. I really like that feature because it gives people that power to be able to say, hey, we want to look at both, or we only want to look at one or the other. And so they can do that. So that was an amazing question to ask.
Great. And I wanted in this, I'm not going to pose it as a question because I already know the answer. But one other thing that made me really excited about PriceLabs is that, say you're a property that you're in an area that maybe you are the high end property. Maybe you don't have really a comparable person in your area. However, maybe you have, say, the same seasonality, or you have a property that you think you compare to well out of your area. One of the things you're able to do in PriceLabs is actually set up those comp sets to see what those similar level properties are doing. It's especially helpful if they have the same sort of seasonality as you and stuff like that, so that you can actually see what they're doing. So I'm not going to like name any specific properties, but there's certain properties that when I ran mine, I definitely felt like I compared better to them. With PriceLabs, I would be able to, in essence, be able to see what they're doing for pricing and try to help base maybe my experience is more in line with them. My amenities are more in line with them. I don't have someone directly in my area. So that's actually a capability within the system as well that I think is a really helpful tool, especially if you have another property that you're sort of modeling the way that you're doing business off of. Or, you know, I'm thinking of certain properties that we always hear speak at conferences and stuff like that, that we all go, oh man, I wish my business was like theirs. And then we make adjustments and do the same thing. So that's a nice little feature in PriceLabs as well.
I agree with that.
Okay, Annie, any more questions on your end?
Yes. All right. Mary's asking, are there any active early adopter ThinkReservations customers using PriceLabs yet?
Yes, I would say, and if you saw my calendar the past couple of weeks, it would make your head spin. But I would say there's, and I don't have the exact number, but it's somewhere between 40, 50-ish in that range. I'm not exactly sure. Someone else may have the exact numbers, but just off the top, I know that it's at least around that amount of users, maybe more. So I'll say about 40, 50 plus.
I actually think I saw an email this morning that had it in the low 70s this morning.
Oh, so there you go.
Yeah.
All right. And let's see here. Oh, already answered, but just for everybody else, can you provide a quick description of the base rate in PriceLabs?
The base rate. So the base rate essentially is your average daily rate. It is what would typically be the average throughout the entire year. And that's how we want to set that base rate. So that's where the algorithm will start to fluctuate your prices either up or down, home base. And then when we derive that rate, let's say if you use the rate that we selected for you once you import your listings or rooms, that rate is going to be derived from both your prices that you have, past, present, future, and your occupancy levels as well. And that's how we determine your base rate.
All right. Let's see here. I think that, let me just double check. Okay, so yes, we have another question. On the pricing, does a unit equal one room? So 4 rooms equals 4 units, and unit types are rooms priced differently than each other?
I think yes, if I understand it correctly. So I'm gonna reword it. So I'm just gonna put it as, you want to look at your if you're looking at the pricing, right? And that's why I think the question is around the pricing. You look at the total number of rooms you have, and that's going to be your total number of units. Then your unit types or room types is going to be, let's say you have 10 rooms, you have 2 that are priced similar, right? So that's one room type. You have another 5 that are priced similar, so that's 2 room types, and then we're left with 3, and all 3 of those are priced individually. So that may be 3 plus 5 different room types, right? And that might have been a confusing description, but that's how you would look at that.
All right, one more question. Why would PriceLabs auto recommend to me that I should lower my base rate? Nagging me, actually.
So if the system, once you're within a system for about 10 to 15 days, it'll start to give you recommendations, right? And it'll give those recommendations based on performance. So if a base rate is a little high and the performance is low, maybe the occupancy numbers aren't coming in, the revenue isn't coming in, the system will start to give you these recommendations. You can ignore those recommendations, but it's still going to be there to provide those. It'll give you those on base price, it'll give you those on minimum and maximum prices, but it's just there as a tool. That's part of the AI component as well. And if you're still in the early days, it's still learning your property. So ignore them or take them. It's completely up to you. At the end of the day, the rule set and rates that are in the system are determined by you. You control that.
All right. And we have just a few more minutes, guys. So if we have any last minute questions, let's go ahead and get them in. Oh, Edward said, thank you. That does answer the pricing question about the rooms versus room types.
Okay.
And we don't have any more questions. So any last minute remarks?
Thank you all for having me today. And thanks, Scott and Annie, for having me on board. Scott, I noticed, I never realized before, you have great eyebrows, man. That's told me when should I leave, right? We talked about my karaoke. You have amazing eyebrows. That is, there we go.
There. Okay. So I see the type of friendship we're gonna have, Jeff, and I'm loving it. So awesome. Anyway, thanks, Sav, for being on today. I mean, like I said at the beginning, it's been great meeting up with you in person, but also just learning the ins and outs of PriceLabs. And I'm really excited about this partnership and what it can do for properties. I want to leave the webinar by just saying that, listen, even though I really have enjoyed working with PriceLabs, the proof is in the pudding for your property. So it is really important that, if you do connect and you're using the tools, yes, sometimes it's going to say lower the price. Sometimes it's going to say raise the price. It all comes down to your reporting. And the fact is that you want it to be raising your overall revenue for your property. And if this is a task that can be taken off of your list or help at least reduce the amount of time that you're doing price searching with your competitors, trying to make sure that you're price matching or positioning yourself the right way. In the end, it comes down to your reports. And if your business has ended up making more money by being connected with PriceLabs, then that's the proof in the pudding. So I'm not just going to sit here and say everyone needs to sign up for this. I think everyone should try it. But what it comes down to is the raw numbers. So I'm always going to be honest with you, and I'm always going to advocate for what is best for you. So always be taking that time to look at those reports, and don't hesitate to reach out to PriceLabs when you have questions, because I can tell you what, in our connection, we wanted to have the best connection we possibly could to get as much data back and forth so that it was as smooth as possible. And PriceLabs has been super responsive to us, and they've wanted to have just as great a connection with ThinkReservations. So they want to hear your feedback. They want to talk to you. Let them help you digest the information. And at any time, you can also reach out to ThinkReservations, because of course we know our reports inside and out, and we'll be able to help with that too. So 30-day trial, free trial, love that. There is some setup involved. It's not just a set it and forget it. Work with it, make this tool work for you, and I think you'll reap the benefits the more you tinker with it, and the more you play with it, and the more you really optimize it to your property. So yeah, that's what I have to say today. I want to also thank Annie for hosting today. Annie does so much behind the scenes, switching the screens and answering the chat and trying to do everything. So thank you so much for Annie. She always does a great job with our webinars. And also thank you to all of the ThinkReservations staff and the PriceLabs staff that have also been in the chat answering the questions, because I don't know all the answers. Dav knows the product inside and out, but sometimes when you're on camera, you feel a little like, do I want to say, how do I say this the right way? So thank you so much, everyone, for all the help. We wouldn't have been able to do it without you. So with that, I'll hand it over to Annie.
All right, everyone. This was amazing. Wonderful information. Thank you so much, Dav. Thank you so much, Steve. We truly appreciate you and all the other PriceLabs people that have been involved with this whole situation. Like, amazing. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Everyone, the replay will be available immediately after the end of the webinar. Just use that same link that you used to register, and you'll be able to enter your email address and your information, and you will go ahead and get that replay right away. If you were not able to, for some reason, get the handouts out of the extras tab, go ahead and pop me an email. My email address is in the chat, and I will be happy to send those directly to you. All right, everybody, thanks so much. So appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day.
See y'all.